Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for the day comes from Connor, and it is, do you think that the impact grenades need a buff in Rainbow Six Siege? Well, I will admit that they are nowhere near as powerful as I assumed that they were going to be when they first announced them a couple of weeks ago. The fear that I had was that these were going to turn into mini C4s and everyone was going to desire them when they were on the defensive side because they were going to be able just to kill your enemy with explosive damage. That is clearly not the case, and thankfully that's not the case. I think the reason why Ubisoft added them on in is that they still wanted the defensive team to have some explosive damage, because let's be honest, you can still use this to kill your enemy. I've had a lot of situations where I was behind a corner on offense, I was trying to hide from the enemy, and then they just use their impact grenades to either blow up the wall that I was hiding behind, doing nice splash damage, and then killing me with their primary weapon, or they would just throw a grenade at my feet and then finish me off because I was already low on health. Like, that does happen, but I think the main reason why they added them on in is that they wanted to lessen the role of C4. Nitro Cell before this updates was becoming a bit of a problem. Pretty much everyone on defense seemed to be running around with this gadget. I know I'm exaggerating a bit here, but a lot of the defending operators had this gadget in their arsenal, and it was becoming obnoxious, and I think Ubisoft realized that it was becoming an issue. And so instead of just completely eliminating the gadget from their arsenal entirely, they gave them the impact grenades, which is still very, very versatile. And so I have to ask the question, how would you go about buffing the impact grenades? Would you increase their damage, their splash radius? Would you maybe give more of them to the operators that have access to them? Because as soon as you do any of those things, we start to encroach on the power of C4. They become much more similar to what C4 is all about, arguably better. And I don't know if that's something that I would want for Rainbow Six Siege. Like I mentioned, these things are very versatile. I think the reason why a lot of people are maybe underwhelmed by them is that they're just not using them properly. If you think of them more of a way to open up holes and open up flanking routes, they're incredibly useful. Especially if you're playing on a game mode like Bomb, for example, where you need to have line of sight between the two objectives, this is a great way of going about it. I've also had a lot of situations where I just threw an impact grenade at a wall where I knew an enemy was hiding behind. It did some splash damage, but the main thing was I could see the enemy and I could catch them by surprise. You can also use these to open up trapdoors that you normally wouldn't have been able to either shoot the enemy from above or jump down and flank them as well. I really do believe that this is what Ubisoft was going for. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, maybe I'm just not understanding the meta and I don't understand what Ubisoft wanted the impact grenade to be, but I really do believe that this is kind of the more appropriate way of them balancing it out and making sure that this just doesn't become the equivalent of C4 where everyone is dying to explosive damage. I think a really good indication that these are relatively well balanced is that if you're having to make the choice between the impact grenade and the other gadgets available to you for that operator, barbed wire, or the deployable shield, that means it's probably in a good spot. If it's not an overwhelming, yes, I need to use this on every map, then it probably means that it's in a good place balance-wise. For all the operators that can use C4, there's no reason to use their other gadgets. They could be removed from the game because the only choice is C4 because it is that powerful on every single one of the maps, and I don't want impact grenades to get to that stage. And so while I know that some people might find the impact grenades to be fairly lackluster, at least in the damage department, I think that they're in a good spot right now, and I really don't want Ubisoft to make any changes to them. The next question is, what do you think about switching the medics and the assault primaries in Battlefield 1? Since the medics are always in the middle of the fight healing their mates, a shotgun or an SMG would be more suitable for them. For assault while out in the open, a DMR would be more beneficial. Well, I will agree with you that that would probably make more sense realistic, and in most situations, it would actually probably benefit the class overall. That would make the medic better for a lot of combat situations. It would make assault a hell of a lot better in my opinion. But I think the reason why they've decided to do this is really for balancing reasons. If you look back at pretty much every single one of the more recent Battlefield games, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, the engineer always has submachine guns or carbines, or usually literally weapons that are only good for close encounter combat, and that's for a design purpose. Because you are the best class at taking care of vehicles, they also want to ensure that you're also not the best class at taking care of infantry. And while I'm not saying that the designated marksman rifles are going to be the best anti-infantry weapons in the game, I have a feeling that that is the reason why they've done that with Battlefield 1. For me personally, I felt like the designated marksman rifles were a little bit more powerful and versatile compared to the assault weapons. I mean, sure, if you're up close and personal, you're gonna get destroyed by them, but as long as you're playing it smart and you're using a designated marksman rifle how it's supposed to be used, you can ruin the enemy team. I mean, the medic was my favorite class because of the weapons that you had available to you. And while I'm sure some people are gonna disagree with me on this one, they're gonna be like, you have no idea what you're talking about, Matimio. The assault class is clearly the best because it's using SMGs, and those are the best weapons in the game. But I'm imagining the reason why DICE did not give them designated marksman rifles, even though it would make more sense for the assault class because they are gonna have more long-range combat because they're usually in a vehicle or they're trying to take out vehicles at a distance. That's probably the reason why they didn't get the DMRs. And so if I had to take a guess, that's just really what it comes down to. The simple fact that this is the way that it's been in pretty much every past Battlefield game. I think that DICE is very comfortable with this kind of class dynamic, and I don't think that they're gonna be making any changes, or I know that they're not gonna make any changes to Battlefield 1. The next question comes from Kim, and it is, what do you think about Doc not getting any points for healing his teammates? I feel like it could result in Doc players getting selfish and only saving the stim shots for himself. I am right there with you that he needs to get points for using his gadget because it just doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things. Everyone in Rainbow Six Siege gets points for using their gadgets. For heaven's sake, all Rook has to do is place down his gadget, and anyone who brings or puts on his defensive plates, he gets some points for doing so. Didn't require any skill, didn't require any thought, just place him down and he gets points automatically. And so it seems kind of baffling that Ubisoft didn't do anything for the stim pistol with this update. And so my hope is that they are going to be making this correction in an upcoming patch. And honestly, I think that that's probably going to happen. I really do believe that this was maybe just an oversight issue on the part of Ubisoft. I think they maybe just accidentally didn't add in the coding to give you points for healing your teammates, and that they are going to be correcting in the future. I also agree with you that maybe he shouldn't get points for healing himself and only points for healing his teammates, because that just gives you a little bit more incentive to do those team-based actions. I know that some people don't care about points in Rainbow Six Siege, but a lot of people out there want to get the top of the scoreboard. They want to see that they contributed, and pretty much everything in this game gets you some sort of points, and so why not for Duck? And so, yep, I'm right there with you, and I would only imagine that this is going to be corrected in an upcoming patch. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you think that the impact grenade needs some loving? You find it to be underwhelming, or do you think it's in a good place? As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, let me know down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.